Dear students, today in this video we are going to do some important questions of class 12 history lesson 8 peasants, Zamindars and state. There is every possibility of these questions coming in the CBSE board exam because these questions have been coming in the exams for the last several years. If you want to watch videos of other lessons, you can see the link by going to the description. So let's start the video. Question 1. Mention two measures taken by the Mughals to make revenue and administrative system. Answer. A. A large part of the income of the Mughal state came from agricultural production. Administrative system was necessary to control it. B. Diwan was the head of this system. For this, the representatives of the state, revenue assessors, revenue collectors, tried to control the rural society so that the fields were plowed and the state got its share of the produce. Question 2. Mention the factors responsible for the continuous expansion of agriculture in the 16th and 17th centuries. Answer. The factors responsible for the continuous expansion of agriculture in the 16th and 17th centuries are 1. Excess of land. 2. Easy availability of labor. 3. Mobility of farmers. Question 3. Who was the head of the panchayats in the 16th and 17th centuries? How was he elected? Mention two main functions of Gram Panchayat. Answer. The head of the panchayat was called Mukaddam or Mandal. The elders of the village used to elect the chief by consensus. After being elected, the headman had to take the consent of the Zamindar. The main functions of the panchayat were the following. 1. Keeping the people of the village within the limits of their caste and allowing them to perform caste functions. 2. To settle the disputes of the villagers. 3. The panchayat used to decide the payment for the services of potters, blacksmiths, carpenters etc. Question 4. Why were women seen as an important resource in agrarian societies? Mention two reasons. Answer. 1. Society in the 16th-17th centuries was dependent on labor, so the role of women was important in the process of agricultural production. Both men and women used to work together in the fields because farming was hard work. The more people worked in it, the better and more profitable it was. 2. Women used to do the work of sowing, weeding and harvesting as well as extracting grains from ripe crops. Question 5. Describe the condition of the average farmer in North India during the 17th century. Answer. 1. The Indo-Persian sources of the Mughal period generally used the term Rayot, Riya or Mujriyan for the farmer. 2. Two types of farmers are discussed in the sources of the 17th century, Khudkasht and Pahikasht. 3. Khudkastes lived in the same villages in which they owned land. Pahikasht were those cultivators who used to come from other villages to do farming on contract. 4. An average farmer in India had one pair of oxen and two plows. 5. Farmers having 6 acres of land in Gujarat were considered prosperous. In Bengal, an average farmer's land was up to 5 acres, while those with 10 acres were considered rich. 6. Agriculture was based on the principle of individual ownership. Farmers' land was bought and sold like other property owners. The description given about the farmers of Delhi and Agra is also applicable to the 17th century. The agricultural farmers who plowed the land used to mark the boundaries of each land with mud, bricks and thorns to identify them. Thousands of such pieces of land, khet, could be seen in any village. Question 6. Explain the origin, integration and role of landlords in villages. Was this class exploitative? Answer. The role of Zamindars was important in Mughal India. as is clear from the following description. 1. They did not participate directly in agricultural production, but being owners of land. They had a respectable position in rural society as a result of rendering certain special services to the caste and the state. 2. Zamindars were prosperous because they had vast land. The land was cultivated for personal use, which was generally done by daily wage laborers or indentured laborers. The landlord could sell or mortgage the land as per his wish. 3. The power of the zamindars can be gauged from the fact that they could often collect taxes on behalf of the state. In return, they used to get financial compensation. 4. Military resources were another proof of their power. Most of the zamindars had their own forts and their own troops, in which there were groups of horsemen, artillery and foot soldiers. 5. The Zamindars were at the top in the Mughal social relations. Abul Fazl also writes that the upper caste Brahmin-Rajput alliance had already established a solid control over the rural society. There was also a special representation of the so-called middle castes. 6. The Zamindars used to evict the weaker ones through their powerful military chieftains to expand their zamindari, although it is very unlikely that the Zamindars taking an aggressive stand would be allowed by the state. 7. There were many ways of consolidating zamindari, such as by settling on new lands, by transfer of rights, by order of the state or by purchase. With the availability of these resources, people from lower castes could also join the ranks of zamindars, as zamindaries were bought and sold on a large scale during this period. 8. Zamindars often established their own markets where farmers also used to come to sell their produce. Thus the zamindars had an important role. They were generally considered to be an exploiting class, but there was an element of reciprocity, paternalism and patronage in their relations with the peasants. Perhaps that is why Bhakti saints on the one hand condemned caste and other types of atrocities without any fear, and on the other hand they did not portray the landlords as exploiters or oppressors of the farmers. Apart from this, in the agrarian revolts in the 17th century, the landlords often got the support of the peasants against the state. So it confirms that the relations between the landlords and the farmers were good. Question 6. Explain the role of women in the agrarian society in Mughal India. Answer. 1. In the agrarian society of Mughal India, women and men worked side by side in the fields. Men used to plow the fields, while women used to do the work of sowing, weeding and harvesting, as well as harvesting the grains of the ripe crop. At that time there was no difference on the basis of gender. 2. There were some restrictions based on the biological processes of women. For example, in Western India menstruating women were not allowed to touch the plough or the potter's wheel. 3. Women used to do the work like spinning yarn, cleaning and kneading clay for making utensils and embroidery of clothes. These works depended on the labor of women. 4. In fact, the more a commodity was commercialized, the more was the demand for women's labor for its production. In fact, farmers and artisan women used to work in the fields as well as visit the houses of the employers and also in the markets when needed. 5. Women were seen as an important resource because of their ability to produce children, as society depended on labor. But still there was a shortage of married women, mainly due to malnutrition. Frequent motherhood and death was to happen at the time of delivery. 6. According to established customs, the head of the house was a man. Women were strongly controlled by the men in the family and community. Even on suspicion of infidelity, women could be given terrible punishments. 7. There is evidence of women sending applications to village panchayats in Rajasthan, Gujarat and Maharashtra regions alleging husband's infidelity or neglect of wife and children. But men's infidelity was not always punished. although state and upper caste people often used to try to ensure the maintenance of the family. 8. Instead of writing the names of women in the documents on giving the application, she was cited as the mother, sister or wife of the man, head of the household. 9. Status in Bhumihar Bhadrajan. A. Women in Bhumihar Bhadrajan had got the right to ancestral property. For example, women in Punjab had an active participation in the rural market as sellers of ancestral property. B. Hindu and Muslim women were entitled to zamindari inheritance, which they were free to sell or mortgage. C. Women zamindars were also present in Bengal. For example, one of the biggest and famous zamindaries of the 18th century was the zamindari of Rajshahi, whose functionary was a woman. How did you like this video? Will tell by commenting in the comment box. Write if you like the video. If you are new to my channel and you have not yet subscribed to my channel Gurudev Classes, then subscribe. Also press the bell icon so that you will get the notification of upcoming videos first. Thank you.